good at this, but maybe with a little practice, I could tell myself to relax it. Will be better next time I try. And even if I still can't do it, yeah, you know that I'm gonna stick to it. Yes, it's all about going through it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Whoopsie, whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see I'm better at this today. Woo! Whoopsies, 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 whoopsies.
I'm a little embarrassed when I look at my drawing compared to this. I'm just not getting anywhere with this. It makes me wanna hide. Aw, don't be embarrassed. Don't hide.
You should have seen mine the first time I tried. It took a lot of whoopsies to look this way.
No one's perfect on their first day. Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay.
It's okay. Whoopsies are what it takes to get better and better every day. Whoopsie, 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 whoopsies.
Well, what about this? I want to jump rope, but nope, I just can't do it.
Well, not yet. Come on and practice with me. You'll see there's nothing to it.
Whoa! Whoopsie.
Whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay. Whoopsies, help me look, see I'm better at this today. Woo!
It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. I know it's hard, but for long, before it's too late. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me. It's hard. Wake up. It was only a dream, the waves of evil crashing over us. It was only a weak and faithful scream beneath the battlements. But I know it's hard, before long, before it's too dark. Wake up, my love, please don't give up on me.
What is up? What is up, you guys? We are back at it again. Another day to be defeated on our journey to become a certified developer. I hope you all are hyped. This is when we start taking the plunge into the programming world. We gotta get that drop. There we go. Awesome, 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 awesome. I hope you guys are as excited as me because every day moving forward is just going to be that much more interesting. If it hasn't already been, alright? Let's go ahead and do some, where's my, there we go. If you guys aren't tracking, we are Rootkit, a non-profit org based here in the US of A. You can learn all about us on our webpage here. If you go over to blogs and then to week 4 giveaway, yes, giveaways. We do giveaways every single week during 100 days of Rootkit. Go ahead and enter this one before it's too late. We are giving away all of the stickers that we have ever created. All right, including all of the limited edition 100 days of Rootkit stickers. All right, super, super awesome. Now, if you like what we're doing and you want to help support us, because we do need support, we do need money, all right? You can go over here, and I'll drop this link into the chats right now, and you can donate. Now, every time you donate, it will be matched 1-for-1 for the first 10,000 donations by an anonymous donor. So that's super, super awesome. Additionally, depending on how much you donate, you'll unlock certain tiers of rewards, including this awesome collab t-shirt. Look at this thing. It's so cool. And our awesome sweater, which I absolutely love. Worn it a lot on previous streams. Now, finally, we also have pillars here. They're kind of hard to see. Hey, this site is just kind of meh, all right? We didn't get to choose how to design it or anything like that, but there are pillars here for things like at 6K, 24 hours straight streaming, 10K, shaving my head, and 20K, the one we definitely will not get to, shaving my beard, because no one really wants to see that, all right? Now, if you want to follow it along at home, we have set up everything to be self-paced and independent in order to learn and get the comp sci cert. So on our GitHub, we have everything listed here that you need to know in order to pass the cert exam. We're on operating systems right now, and particularly we're at the DOS/PowerShell section. Let me go ahead and zoom on here. And man, do we have a journey to go through. This and then the Unix section. This is all very important information for your dev journey because you will be using these almost, if not every single day, multiple times every single day, these commands. They are that important. They are bread and butter. We are getting into programming. All right, any questions, comments, concerns before we move forward? All right, sweet. So we've talked about a lot of different things so far. And we've been mostly focusing on Windows right now. This should be pretty much the conclusion of Windows before we move on to Unix. Now, we learned about the operating system, about the hardware, components, etc. Now we need to know how to use the operating system. Oh, I guess I should mention, yeah, anyone that's a Patreon member or a Discord Premium member. Oh, thanks for the follow, man. Anyone that's a Discord Premium member or a Patreon member, I am in the events chat, so you can talk to me directly if you want to ask questions or anything like that. I see that you are in there. Do you want follow? All right, sweet. Let's see here. Let's move on. So we talked about the operating system and all the components and so forth about it. And that was super awesome. It's like the equivalent of us trying to build a house, and we first need to learn about the tools and, you know, how we would go about using them. Now we're actually going to use them. We're going to execute them. We're going to show you what all the fancy buttons everywhere do. And you can follow along if you are running Windows. If you're not running Windows or you don't have access to a Windows box, there's two solutions for you. Number one, just brute memorizing. All right. All we're going to have on the test is either what is this command and what does it do, or give you the output of the command and ask you, the output of the command and ask you what command that belongs to. All right. You don't actually have to execute or run any of these, at least on the written part. The second part, when you're developing, most likely you're going to have to run commands. That's just how it works. Now, if you need a Windows box, you have several options. One is using a cloud website to spin up a Windows box, which you can experiment with if you want. And second option would be spinning up a VM, so you can use things like VirtualBox or VMware Workstation to get a version of Windows spun up. Windows makes it super awesome, so if you type in Windows VMware, Windows actually has a download link where you can download Windows 11 or Windows 10. You can just download a VirtualBox image, a VMware box image directly. Just mess with VirtualBox or VMware. Do not do anything else. Well, it's not recommended to. You can just download them and then have these running if you're on a Mac or a Linux computer. All right, any questions before we move forward? Yes, we are going into PowerShell. We are covering DOS and some PowerShell. Don't you worry about that. So DOS. Let's talk about DOS. What does DOS stand for? I don't know. I can't even remember. DOS, Windows. And Disk Operating System, I guess. So MS-DOS was the original operating system of Microsoft. Of Windows. It no longer is. It's been completely replaced, but there are legacy components on your computer. If you type in command prompt, you can get the DOS prompt, the legacy DOS prompt. I highly recommend you follow along in command prompt and not PowerShell, because not all of these commands will work in PowerShell. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger for us. All right. So again, this is going to be a CLI. CLI is command line interface. We have commands that we can usher in on this line right here, right? If you ever type something that is incorrect, you will get this message that says it doesn't understand what you are saying. All right, you can press enter a bunch if you want. And look, this is where we enter into the area where exploration is encouraged. Definitely try things, make oopsies, fail, it's okay. For most things you can do here, you can recover from. I'll go through, as we're going through these commands, which ones you should be a little bit more careful of than others. So this is all cool and dandy, but you might notice that things kind of get cluttered real quick. And if you're OCD or anything like that, you may want to have this clean, all right? So there is a command that you can usher in instead of just closing it or pressing like enter a bunch and getting it all clean again. There is the clear screen command, CLS. If you type in CLS in command prompt, it will clear the screen. Yeah, great job. Do you want to follow? You answered it before I did. So there's CLS. That's for clearing the screen. Now, you've seen before, as we've gone forward, there's the ping command, and this will send a ICMP packet out to a machine. You can either utilize a IP address, or you can do a domain name if you'd rather do that, and they are both valid. All right. This is a great debugging tool to see if you can actually hit or access machines. Now, before we go any further, CLS. Let's talk about help. All right. There's two ways you can get help on these items moving forward. One, you can utilize Google, which is recommended. But even better than that, in command prompt and in PowerShell and in the Unix universe, there are lots of documents built into your computer that you can just pull up very easily and look through stuff. They're not always the prettiest, but you can do it. So on command prompt, there is a command literally called help. So if we run the help command, you'll see that we get lots of information printed out. And it will tell you about a bunch of pre-built commands that are inside of your operating system, particularly in DOS or the command prompt, that you can utilize. You can see here's CLS, and it gives you a little description of what it does. So it's very, very helpful. And how you can use help is, let's say we want some help on ping. I guess that doesn't help. Help doesn't help all the time like that, but it's usually putting help before and then asking afterwards. So you can see here that it's telling us instead to get help, we need to type in this command, ping /?. So if we type in ping /?, we can get the help screen. So on this help screen, it'd be good to understand how the format of all of this is. So let's talk about it. So ping. When you do a help screen, most likely you'll get an output like this, which may seem a little overwhelming and crazy at first, but it is logically laid out. At the very top, usually will be either a description, and then after that will usually be a usage. So usage is trying to show you how you would go about using this program. So anything that is just straight up on here is required. And what do I mean by that is if you see ping and target name here are both just written there, there's no brackets or any other weirdness around it. That means that they are required in order to have the command run. So as you've seen in previous streams, you have to supply ping and then an IP address, or ping and some type of domain name, all right, in order to get it to function. So that's what it's telling you right here. Everything inside of brackets are separate additional options you can set or utilize. They're all different types of options, and you can see more about them right below in this section called options. So each one of these options has a little description, and it will tell you what it will help you with or what it will do, all right? Like resolve addresses to host names or number of echo requests to send, and so on and so forth. So these options might give you more power or oomph from what you're looking for. Again, this is a translation of the normal pictures, the normal GUI you have. And instead of having like little buttons there that you would select for additional options or so forth, you're just doing it here in the command line because it's easier for developers to just make this and not have to focus on making pretty graphics and aligning them, mobile support, blah, blah, blah. Just too much messiness. This is much easier. So if you ever forget any of these commands moving forward, you can help yourself essentially and just type in stuff like this and get the help command. So you'll see some of these are just going to be utilizing the /? instead. Let me go to, I don't know, like this one. Other ones will just straight up output what they do. So like this one will straight up output. So pay attention and read. I know I hate reading, all right? I expect you to probably hate reading also, but the big thing is to read. If you ever get an unexpected output, usually the error or what it's trying to give you, in this sense, it's not an error, it's info. It will tell you what to do instead. So right here, it's telling us what to do instead. All right, let us move forward. So tracer team, we already went through that before on a previous day, but just a quick recap. Before moving forward, I should say that there are a handful of useful, awesome items pre-built in command prompt, Linux terminals, and PowerShell, all right? It's your tab key and the arrow keys. So your arrow keys, if you press up and down, will let you scroll through the history of what you've typed in so far. So you don't need to copy and paste or try to remember what you did. You can use the arrow keys to go up and down your history. Additionally, tab is useful. Tab is autocomplete. So if I type in HE and press tab, which of course command prompt doesn't have, it will autofill what you're trying to do. So command prompt, I guess, doesn't have it. I don't really use command prompt that often, so forgive me for that. But PowerShell and terminals on Linux/Unix machines will have that functionality most of the time. Asterisk on that. All right, any questions so far? So there's a couple things before moving forward that we also need to cover, kind of jumping the gun. I see there's some things here. I've been trying to make a command installer that downloads files if someone downloads the file. You can definitely do that. You can definitely make scripts for that. Can it go back further than the last CLS? I believe so. Yeah. You can go as back as far as you want. I highly recommend for a lot of these questions that you guys have, if you can attempt it yourself, try it yourself before asking. All right, this is all about you exploring, going on a journey yourself, figuring out in this computer world what you can do. It's basically an RPG. That's what I want you guys to treat it as. All right, don't try before asking to fail first. Explore, just go through on a journey before you Google for stuff or you ask for help, right? This is what will really distinguish you between being a okay dev and a great dev, is your ability to explore and problem solve. All right, now you can ask questions obviously, but I mean, like, before you do, just see what you can come up with. All right, so before moving on further, we got to talk about these things called absolute paths and relative paths. All right, so absolute path means that you have the full length or path it takes to get to where you are. So what do I mean by that? Where are we currently on my operating system? If we look at this nice cleared screen, we can see that we see this right here. This might look a little familiar to you guys, especially because we covered users before, and you guys might know C when you're just utilizing your operating system on a day-to-day basis. C distinguishes that we're in the C drive. You may have multiple drives on Windows, and those drives will have different letters. All right, I got a D drive, E, F, G, etc., etc. We're in the C drive, and you will be by default. Now inside there is a users folder, and inside there's Elijah. All right, that's what we have right here. So we are currently in this folder, so you can follow along in parallel in Windows Explorer if it makes you more comfortable to kind of understand what's going on. And if you click on your top bar here in Windows Explorer, you can see that both of these have matched. This is what we call an absolute path because it starts from the very beginning with this C drive, and then the very top folder of your hard drive, and then works its way down. All right, it's absolute. If you give this to any person and tell them to go find it on my computer, they'll be able to find it because it tells you exactly where you have to go in order to get to where you need to go. Relative paths, though, are not like that. They're relative to where you currently are. So, for example, if we look at the files and folders that we have inside of here, and let me pull up this on the side, you can see they're exactly the same. Gosh darn it, I keep closing this. They're the exact same contents on this side and this side. All right. The relative path would be where we need to go next. So we talked about before this command called CD. CD is to change your directory. It's how you can enter a folder. In normal Windows Explorer, we would double click inside of something, all right? In command prompt, we CD into something. So if I want to CD into contacts, this directory contacts, all right, I can type in CD and then contacts. Oh, look at that. So if you press tab now, it will work. So see if I do CON and then press tab, it will autofill for me. So tab will help you autofill things. I highly recommend using tab all the time when you can. But right now, we're utilizing a relative path. What is the relative path? Contacts. Because we are currently inside of this folder and we want to go to, oh my gosh, we want to go to this one, and we're telling it where we want to go next. That's relative to where we currently are. All right. We also have the option of giving the absolute path if we wanted. So let me show this in action first. If I do CD contacts, you'll see that this has now changed and we are now inside of the folder contacts. All right. And now if we want to leave a folder, you can do CD ... All right. I'll get into what the periods mean more here in a second. But on top of this relative movement, we can do absolute. So if we do CD and then paste that / contacts, this would be the absolute path. So we can press that and now we're inside of this directory. Whoops. Why again are these absolute paths sometimes more useful than relative ones? Well, that was the key thing I said before, is the absolute path, you can give it to someone at any time and they will know exactly where they're supposed to go. So for example, if I go up to users and then I go into the public user. So currently, let me clear this. So currently I'm inside of the public user. So if you look here, if you got lost in all the typing I did, don't worry. The main concept is right now we're in the public user. All right, and you can figure out where we are by just looking at the prompt here. If I try to do a CD contacts now, contacts, it does not work. It gives me an error saying, hey, that's can't be found, buddy. All right, try again. That does not work. All right. This is where sometimes absolute paths may be useful, because instead, if we give it the absolute path instead of the relative path, so if I said this and then Elijah / contacts, this is the absolute path. And if we press enter now, bam, we get into the folder that we wanted to get into all along, because this is the full directions to where we need to go. It's the absolute path from point A to point B. It's not relative based off where we currently are. Any questions on that? I was staring with my pen ready, but everything happens and went by so fast. Let's see, I mostly hesitate to try things on my own because I don't want to break something that I won't know how to fix. Don't worry. Try everything. Anything that could potentially mess up your computer, I will tell you beforehand, all right? But everything we've talked about so far will not mess up your computer. Don't worry about that. I don't know how. All I can do is IP pinger. Same. Yeah, don't worry. We'll get into all of this stuff, into all of the weeds here. All right. So, recap. CLS, clearing screen. CD is how we can change directories. You can also do CD by itself. When you do CD by itself, the option depends on the terminal that you're using. So command prompt is just going to print out below where you currently are. So another term for where you currently are is your current working directory or your present working directory. People call it one or the other. So we have it here as present working directory. Sometimes it will be called current working directory. That is where you currently are, your current location. So in command prompt, when you do this, you will just get a printout. This functionality is different for PowerShell and macOS, and don't worry, we'll go over that. So let's talk about the periods. All right, what were those period things that I just did? So periods are, what is the exact term for them? It's referencing pretty much where you are. I'm trying to think of the actual term right now, but it's a way for you to analyze where you currently are and where you can potentially go, or it's a way for you to do backwards if you want. It's like backspace almost, but it can also be like here. So what do I mean by that? If I do CD and then period, that is in reference of right here, right now, where exactly I am. All right. And if I press enter, you'll see that nothing happens. All right. It's just myself, basically. That's what it's pointing to. It's just myself. Now, if I do CD ... that is first period is myself, and then second period is backing up one. All right. This is how we can start backing up, backspace, basically. So if we do CD ... we're going from where we are right now, which is the first dot, to one folder back. So now you can see that we've backed up one folder. All right, where we left the contacts folder and now we're just in the Elijah folder. And you can stack these on top of each other multiple times. So let me go back into contacts and let me see if this functionality works. No. So in command prompt, you can only do 2. All right, which is pretty typical. You can only do 2. So you can only say either where you are or you want to go back 1. If you want to go back multiple folders, you're going to have to do a slash, all right? Because it's where you are. The second dot is where you, the folder behind you. It's just a kind of a reference. Like, it's basically the equivalent of, hey, I forgot what the name of what I currently am in, but put that there and I want to go back 1. All right, so it's saying I want to go back 1. Doing a slash here doesn't change the functionality, but then what it does is it allows you to act as if you were 1 above. So if we were in Elijah, so let me show the absolute path version of this. So this is the equivalent of saying this. All right. It's basically saying I want to go 1 folder back, which right here, this is 1 folder back on the absolute path. All right. This is using relative path. All right. This is relative to where you currently are. I want to go back 1. This is absolute path. I want to go back 1. Now, when you are here, you'll see that you have the slash available for you. Now, you can either, on the absolute path, you can go and now go into a separate folder, like maybe Docker or documents, all right? And you can go into another folder. So you're kind of going back out 1 and then into 1, but it's different. Or you can just keep going back. I could just delete Elijah and I could go back another folder. You can do the same thing with the relative movement, all right? That would be ... slash, again, would be as if I said this whole path right here. And now we can go into stuff like the documents folder. Doesn't want, sorry, whoops. Contacts, CD, ... We can go into the documents folder if we want, because we have moved here relative to where we are right now. That's what the ... does. And we can now explore that Elijah's folder again. Now, using like tab, because if you press tab, it will auto generate. This slash is different. There's two different slashes on your computer. Windows prefers the one above your enter key. All right, that's going to be the backslash. The one you might be more familiar with is the forward slash, which is going to be by your shift key. In Windows overall, it's best if you use the backslash because that is what they're typically expecting. They're the only ones that use backslashes. Everyone else uses forward slashes. So we don't have to stop here though with the relative. We can keep going further up folders. And we can do that by doing another ... Because again, a single dot means right here where we are, and 2 means back 1. So the first dot here, so because we got 4 dots here right now. The first dot here, all right, is going to be right here where we currently are, the current folder we're currently in. This says, the second one says backup 1. And then we put a slash there because that's the structure of potentially going to another folder. And we are going to another folder. From this new location we are at, which we're kind of emulating because we haven't pressed enter yet, the first dot again will mean right here, where we currently are in this new position. The second one means go back even further. So if we press enter on this command, we will be now in the users folder. So let's go ahead and press enter and see what happens, and you'll see we're now in the users folder because we went with 2 dots means we back up one folder, we did slash, and we said back up another folder. So we backed up an entire another folder. Any questions so far on that? If someone knows the name for the dots, that would be great because I just cannot remember them right now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them at any point in time. All right. So CD is very important because you need to be able to navigate through your computer. All right. If you don't know how to navigate and get from point A to point B, it's going to be very hard for you to develop or program things. All right. Because you can't navigate your computer. So CD is going to be your bread and butter. Let's go ahead and clear the screen. So we talked about absolute path. That's the absolute way from point A to point B of where you need to go to get there. Relative is based off where you currently are. All right. Again, it's like relative is as if I tell you, okay, once you're in this folder, go back 1 and then into a different folder. Like that only works when you are in the spot you were supposed to be. So absolute is going to be no matter what, it's going to work. Present working directory is where you currently are. All right. Also known as current working directory. It can be used either or. There are these things called environmental variables, and I think we'll talk about them a bit later. All right. We're going to move forward for right now. Let me check any questions. All right, sweet. So let's go ahead and keep working down this list. We talked about clear or clear screen. We talked about ping. All right. We talked about tracer T. All right. Tracer T again is ping, but ping with an extra ability. It will change that time to live to 1, then 2, then 3, slowly building out the entire network map of where what every single server between you and where you're trying to go is. All right. Next is going to be netstat, which we've talked about before also. Netstat is going to list everything that your computer is currently connected to, what port it's connected to, the computer that you're connected to, and the ports on the computer that you're connected to. And there's just a bunch of information. There's a bunch of TAC commands. Now, if you try to run this one right now, you'll see that it will print some stuff and then it will hang. Hanging happens pretty commonly, all right? So if something is ever hanging and you don't want to sit there and wait, you have two options. One, closing command prompt or PowerShell or terminal, whatever you're using. Or two, if you hold Control and C at the same time, sometimes you have to press it multiple times. This will cancel. This will forcefully cancel stuff that's currently running, or it will try its hardest to. So you can press Control C whenever you want. As you can see, I just pressed it a bunch and it did a lot of these. All right, so Control C, remember that's for cancel, and it's a very forceful cancel. We talked about help. If you run help by itself, you'll get a list of a bunch of commands that are available to you. You can also run help space and then the command you want to run. So let's say more, because more is the next one we want to do. And it will give you typically an output of what that command is, what it does, etc., etc. So we can see here, more displays output one screen at a time. We'll see what that means here in a second. So help, very useful. That's how you get help. All right, it's pre-built into your computer. All right, so more is a way for you to view text files on the command prompt. So let me go ahead and go into the Elijah folder here, and I have a file here called ASDF. It might be a little bit confusing. Let me go ahead and change that file real quick to be a little bit more clear. Can I? Hello, everyone. Are you kidding me? There we go. All right, sweet. So now if we type in the command more and then we want to look at a text file, which I want to look at ASDF, you'll see here, and let me go and rerun this, that the text contents of that file get printed out. All right, super awesome, super useful. What's even more useful is if there's a lot of data in that file. So let me pull up that file again. And let's go ahead and copy and paste this a billion times. All right, now if I try to print this, you'll see that the power of more really kicks in. It will try to display as much as it can from that text file on your screen all at once. But if it will read off the screen or it will take too much space, it won't go anymore. All right, it will pause right here. And if you want to scroll through the file, you can press enter and you can scroll through more of the file. So you can see here, it even gives me a percent readout of how far through the file I am. So it can be very useful for you to check things out and read files without actually having to open them, because that's a lot of extra work. And we as devs are very lazy. If I'm looking through, I can just more it instead. The command is more. Yep, more in the file name. Now again, if you don't want to read through this whole file, so let me show you right now. If you read through the whole file, you'll exit the more program and be back at the command line. But if your file is very, very long, you may not want to read through it all. Remember, we're all about cancel culture right now, all right? Just cancel this thing. Control C, cancel that shit, all right? It's out of here. It no longer exists, all right? Control C is how you can exit things most of the time, all right? So remember, Control C, Control C, Control C if you ever get stuck. All right, we need the list. Let's see what's next on the list. Pipe. Pipe, pipe, pipe. We're gonna be plumbers here, just like Mario. There is a pipe key, all right? I get pipe from my computer all the time, and now you will, all right? That's just how it goes. Now, if you shift and click on the key right below your backspace, it's the key typically that has your backslash. You'll get the pipe, which is just straight up and down. Yep, Perfect. Do you want follow? Post it in the chat if anyone on Twitch chat if anyone is interested. The Google chat people, you're out of luck. Pipe is really, really useful. Pipe is how you can pipe information from one command into the other command. All right. So, how can we see this in action? That's a good question. Let me change the file ASDF. So we have this file called ASDF. I'm going to put the contents in here, just be ASDF. So the name of the file and the contents in the file are exactly the same. If I type in more and do pipe and then how do I want to do this? Oh, I don't like it that way. Actually, what if we did it this way? Would this work? Let's put in the command cd in here. And now let's do help pipe more cd. Let's do netstat instead. This worked better. Whoops. Not more cd. There we go. Do I need to reverse the order? Oh. There we go. Okay. Reversing the order there. So what's going on here is, so our ASDF file here has just one word in its netstat, just like the command netstat. So if we do more ASDF right now, we'll just get the words netstat printed out. I'm going to go and do it again with the cleared screen. That's all it will do, is it's going to output, that's the key word, it's going to output the words or the word netstat, all right? So how is pipe useful? Pipe is useful because the output of your command will be piped or sent to the next command. So if we do more ASDF, it will output netstat. We can send that output, the word netstat, to another command using pipe. So it will send this word netstat to help. And you'll see when we run that, we're going to get the help menu for netstat. That did not work. But that's the general concept. Pipe is going to be allow you to send pipe information along to another command. I'm pretty sure. Let's go through more commands. There's going to be. I'm not going to be limited with the ones that we just learned in some of the new ones. All right, so let's move forward so I can show that I am a competent dev. All right, I swear. All right, CD. We talked about CD a bunch already. I don't think you guys want to hear about CD anymore. Path. So path displays or sets a search path for executable files. All right, so if we run path right now, what this is your environmental variables. So now let's loop back and talk about environmental variables for a second. This still all follows for PowerShell. Yes, kind of. Most of these commands will work in PowerShell. Most of them. Asterisk. Some of them don't work. To me, it seems kind of random, but I don't know the logic behind it, but some of them do not work. They all have a new version of each command, which we'll talk about when we get into PowerShell. So path is important. Path is on every single operating system in some capacity. This is going to be listing your environmental variables. What are environmental variables? Good question. All right. How does your computer know where the help program is located? How does your computer know where Chrome is located? Chrome, is it chrome.exe? Chrome.exe. No? Well, how does it know where the more command is located? or any of these commands that you're trying to run, Python should work, right? So I have Python installed. How does it know where that Python app program is at? Like, how does it know? You guys won't have Python out of the box. It's something you can install afterwards. But how does it know where these things are and why to run them? They're all stored in your path, in this path environmental variable. So what is this? This is, if you look really close, you can type in path on yours. It's going to look like a bunch of absolute paths to a bunch of different folders. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of paths, absolute paths to a bunch of different folders. And they're separated by these semicolons. This semicolon means we're at the end and I got another folder for you. So what happens when you type these commands in is your operating system will look through these folders and try to find a corresponding program with the same exact name. All right. And if it finds one, then it will execute and run it. So it's very common for new people that are, for example, installing Python to have Python not work for them when they type it in the command line, because there's a little checkbox there that's not auto-clicked, and that checkbox will automatically add Python to your path. And this is what it means. It's the path that your command prompt, your PowerShell, your terminal is going to look into to find the program that you're trying to run, because it doesn't know out of the box. All right, you have to tell the computer these things. All right, your computer is actually very, very dumb. All right, there are lots of options everywhere for you to define these things. Now you can update your path, I believe, using the you can update your path using the path command here, but that's kind of cancerous. So instead, I highly recommend, if you type in environment variables, you'll see this little pop-up here. If you click on this, you'll see this little screen, and there's a button here for environment variables. If you open that up, you'll see all of your environmental variables, and you'll see there's something in there called path. And that is exactly what you think it is. It's the path that we just saw right now. And this is where you can set different paths to different programs so you can get them to execute on the command line. All right. And there are multiple different ones. So if you can see here, there's system variable ones and there's variables particular to your users. So what are these two? What's going on here? System variables mean that every single person that has an account on your computer will get all of these. All right, they will have all of these ones already available to them. All right, ours may look different because depending on what you install on your computer, this list will become larger. All right, if you only want a certain user to be able to execute certain things, you can set this one right here, which is specific to my user's account. All right. So if someone tries to execute whatever program is in this folder, they won't be able to unless they set this into their environmental path. All right. But right now it's only set for me, my account. Is it worth to learn both, or will one be better than the other? On Windows, this one is better. I highly recommend to use this one every single time you can. This one is way easier and better. On Unix like machines, so Mac OS and Linux, it's better to use the command line one. I'm pretty sure in pretty much most of the operating systems, you can only use the command line one. And we'll go through examples in Unix, how to go about doing that. It's the exact same as in Windows, but this is what we encourage, right? It's so much easier here, right? So much nicer looking. And if you click on new, you can just add something in here. It's pretty cancerous on the command line. So, all right. So there's another command we're going to go over next, and that's going to be dir. Do you not know? It's pretty obvious, right? Dir. No. The command is called dir. dir. dir is the directory that you are currently in. It will list the directory that you are currently in. So if you type in dir, you'll get a list printout of your current directory. It will come with extra information, like the, I believe this was the time it was last updated. What type of file is it? So if there's no information, then it is a file. If there is information here, for example, this says dir, so this means it's a directory. All right. If it is a file, it will have a number right here, which is the bytes that it takes up. So this is 7 bytes large. This one's 288 bytes large. And then the last part is what it's actually called. All right. And you can see some general information here at the bottom. So inside of this directory, there are 2 files, 22 more directories, and all the files in here are taking up 295 bytes of information, and we have this much bytes of information left on our current drive. So just very useful stuff. You can also see here that dot and dot I was talking about. This is pre-built into everything that you utilize. These are like actual things in your computer. The one dot again references the exact directory you are currently in. So it's basically just a pointer to itself. The double one is going to be saying go back one directory. All right. So you'll see these here, and they're in every single directory. Any questions on that? All right, let us go to attrib. So attrib is cool because basically what you, if you don't know the layout again of a command, you can do help and then the command. So attrib, and it will tell you about the command and what you can do. So attrib, some of you guys might be able to guess, it has to stand for attributes. All right, and if we look here, it says it's for displaying or changing file attributes. All right, so if we look at this, how we run the command, we type in the command and literally nothing else is required. All right, nothing else is required after we type in the command. So if we type in the command by itself right now, you'll see that that is all that's required for it. Now, by looking at this, you can see different items that you can do, or you can do some experimentation with what you want to do. So for example, here, I got the attributes for this single file. But if we do it by itself, it's going to tell us the attributes of all of these various files. You might say, what are these? These weren't here a second ago. That's because these were super ultra hidden by your operating system, but they are showing up now. And here on the side, you'll see the attributes that it has. And if you're confused on what these attributes are, you can just look at the help command and read the attributes here. So R is going to be read only. A is going to stand for archive. Well, we have a lot of ones here set with A, so they must be getting archived. Again, marked for archive means that it's going to be backed up. S is going to be for system files. H is for hidden. So we can see these ones when we do our normal dir, this directory or file ntuser.dat does not show up here, right? And if we do attrib, we can see that it doesn't show up because it's hidden. It's marked with this H. But Elijah, how would you go about looking at hidden files? Because you showed us on here how we can look at hidden files, aka view, and then this button hidden files. How do we do it on the terminal? Great question. Everything you can do in the GUI, aka File Explorer, you can do in the command prompt and usually have 10 times as much support and 10 times as many tools. Asterisk on that. There are some weird edge cases where that's not the case, but it is the case 99% of the time. So if you want to figure these things out, again, self-exploration, go looking, all right? How do you go looking? You can either just try things at random, or we learned that awesome command help, all right? So we can do help dir, because dir is how to list things, how to list your directory. And in here, we can look and see that we want to see how to potentially display files. So let's go ahead and look through here for anything that has to say or specify in regards to hidden files. Display files with specified attributes. /A or /A, and then there's an H here for hidden. Okay, that would work. We can try that one out. I wonder if there's anything else in here, and we can go through and look and see if there's anything else in here that we could potentially utilize also. All right, so with this newfound knowledge, all right, let's go ahead and just try this out. Why not? Why the fuck not? All right, you're at home, all alone. All right, no one's around you. If you fuck up, guess what? Who the fuck cares? No one's around you. Just go ahead and do it. All right. All right, let's go ahead and type in dir. And then, whoops, what's going on here? Dir, then remember it's going to be that backslash, this one's a /, all right? So never mind. /A for attributes. And then we have to put the attribute next, which is going to be an H. So let's go ahead and do H and C. Directories, files not found. How embarrassing. I didn't prep this in advance, so forgive me. Well then. Hey, whoopsies, they're all right. This is how you go about exploring and figuring things out. So I'm not going to dive into this much more because we have more to go through, but I challenge you to figure this one out, all right? Because my first attempt obviously did not work. I can hear you laughing, Susana, in the other room. Ay. All right, but you guys can go ahead and look through that. Let's go ahead and learn some more commands here. So we have date. So if we pull up our command prompt and type in date, we can see what the current date is, and we can also enter a new date. So this is how you can get or set a date on your computer. All right, if the current date that's currently on your computer is wrong, you can hard code or change it right here utilizing this command. Now there's also time. Time will tell you the new time, and it will also let you set a new time if you want. So date and time, pretty similar in how they are used and how they work. Not too much more there to it. There's verb, which is short for version, and that will show you the current version of Windows or Microsoft Windows that you are on. All right, so I'm on version 10.0. What is that? 19,045. You might be on a different one. That's a-okay. Now, the next command here is going to be title. What does title do? Nothing if you run it by itself. But if you do title and say something afterwards, like hello world, it did something. I don't know if you guys caught it, but if you look at my mouse, direct your attention all the way right here, it changed the title of your terminal window. So very neat, very cool. This is a if you are making a program or something, this is like a quality of life or a luxury thing that you could do in order to help people sort out their terminals or change the title on the window, just to add a little bit of fanciness to it. But title will change the title of the window. All right. Let's see here. Exit. Exit is exactly what you think it does. It will exit the current command prompt that you're in. So I just exited it, it closed it out. That's not the right one. Why is my computer freezing? Why? Why are you doing this to me? It did not like that program I just started up. Why? Are you really gonna make me look for this? Alright. Let me open up the command prompt. Alright. So that's what it will do. If you have Windows, there's also this other... Okay, of course, and now it works, of course. God, I hate computers sometimes. There's this application called Terminal. It's not really in your operating system by default. Maybe it is on Windows. I'm not caught up. Oh, sorry, Windows 11. I'm not really caught up on my Windows 11. All it is a container, a wrapper, basically a web browser equivalent in regards to the tabs that you can do in a web browser for your command prompt. So look, I have a tab open right here of command prompt, and I can open a new tab, and this one opened a PowerShell one. I can also choose what I want: command prompt, PowerShell, Debian, some other stuff. You may not have all of these, but I can just open new tabs of them. All right, this is all that terminal really does. So nicety feature. Since my stuff is now working again, I'm going to close out a terminal and just use command prompt. But that is a thing that you can utilize. All right, next one. If you guys read it there, you might be able to infer what it does right here. Any guesses? Go and put them in the chat. Where's my... There we go. Keep losing things. Any guesses on what this one will do? What this command highlighted is. Any guesses on what this command will do based off of what we currently have covered? What are your assumptions? Oh, my stream is all messing up. There we go. Any wild guesses? Man, you guys are just scared. Oh, ding, 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 ding. We got a winner. All right. Correct. You are 100% correct. Exactly. mkdir is short for make directory. All right. We talked about dir. Dir is for directory. mk is for make. So that's how we can make a directory. So pulling up Windows Explorer, the old-fashioned way of making a directory is I have to right-click. Look how long this process is, all right? This is why you want to use the terminal instead. I have to pull this up, get to where I want to go, then right-click, move my mouse all the way down here, find folder, click on folder, then I have to name the folder, but maybe I accidentally click off of it. If I do, I have to click on it again and either right-click and rename, or if I click on it twice but very, very slow, then it will bring it up and then I can rename it to like my cool folder. Holy crap. That took so long, right? No bueno. We don't do that because we're a programmer now. So we optimize for speed and efficiency. All right, we aren't in noob world. So in here, we can use mkdir. All right, how do we use it? We say mkdir, so mkdir, and then we just give it a folder name. So better folder. Press enter, bam, it's already made. If I do dir, you're gonna see the folder in here. It's gonna be called better because I'll explain that in a second. And then you'll also see it here in the, in File Explorer. I'm going to delete these and we're going to go to a different directory because I don't want to fill this one up. So let's go ahead. Oh, and I forgot to delete this one. So in deleting folders, all right, we talked about mkdir. There's also rimdir, all right, however you want to say it. Rimdir is going to be for removing a directory. So I got a directory here I need to remove, which is called folder. So I want to remove this one. There we go. Now it's removed. That easy. If I want to make one, remove one, it's that easy. So before moving forward, because I don't want to clutter this directory anymore, let's go ahead and now, using our knowledge, we can do things in the command line like this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my desktop. Desktop. Why is it not liking? Is it not called desktop? What do we got here? Documents, downloads. I got no desktop in here. Okay, whatever. We're going to go to documents. Not Docker, there we go. Documents. And we're going to mkdir, and we're going to call this 100 days of rootkit. And then we're going to cd into 100 days of rootkit. And then inside of here, we can do messing around. You see how quick and easy that was? All right, to make directories and then get inside of them. That took a half a second, all right? Maybe it was so fast you barely understood what I was doing. All right, that's the whole point. It's very, very fast. If I were to do the same thing here, using the Windows Explorer, I would have to right-click, new, call this 100 days of rootkit. All right, press enter. It just jumped from my mouse to another section because it's ordered. I have to go in here and then right-click, new, do a bunch of stuff. It's just so much extra work. All right, we can do the equivalent here. All right. So let's look. If we do dir, you'll see, let me go and clear the screen. If we do dir, you'll see this is a completely empty folder. It lists 2 items, but these items again are going to be here by default for everything. Let's go ahead and take a break because we've been chatting for a little bit. So before moving forward, let's go ahead and take 3 to 5 minute break. If you have questions, ask the questions. All right, you have 3 to 5 minutes to think of some really good questions, and then we're going to continue forward. We'll see how far we go. Worst case scenario, we'll stop a little bit early. I don't think we're going to go past 9 p.m. So we'll probably go for another 30 minutes or so. We may or may not complete all these commands, at least because we still got PowerShell to go through. We'll see. All right, I'll see you guys in 3 to 5 minutes. Alrighty. We are back. Let's browse and see if there are any questions. Does not look like it. Before continuing, if you're joining us, hey, we're Rootkit, alright? Non-profit based here in the US of A. All your donations are 100% tax deductible. Please let us be your tax haven, alright? We need money to run. Doing things for free is very expensive, alright? We cannot do this indefinitely unless we are getting support. So you guys sharing this stream, sharing 100 days of Rootkit, so forth, is free ways to help support us, because maybe you'll share it with someone that is able to donate money if you do not have a big wallet and you can't be our sugar daddy or sugar mama. All right, we are looking for sugar daddies and sugar mamas that need tax havens. All right, send them our way. All right. Now, also, we do lots of free giveaways, especially during 100 days of Rootkit. If you want to participate, if you go to our site, rootkit.org, you can go to our blog. On there, you'll see that we have our week 4 giveaway going on right now for 22 more hours. We will be polling the winner Sunday on the stream. So on Sunday is when we will be polling the winner. We are doing all of our stickers. If you are new, you can see the stickers on the merch section of our site, but here's some of the exclusive 100 days of Rootkit stickers. These ones are only available during 100 days of Rootkit, all right? The only ways you can get them is from free giveaways or by donating to us here on our Streamlabs charity link, which will also help fill up the bar right there up above. I'm going to go ahead and paste these links. There are certain pillars that we can get to, like for example, 6K, 24 hours straight streaming. It'll be super epic. And we got some more like shaving my head and shaving my beard live here on stream, which we don't want to get to because no one wants to see that, all right? No one wants to see that. Additionally, we have a generous donor who will be matching all donations, 1-for-1 up to the first 10,000 donations. Super epic, super awesome. Depending on how much you donate, also you can unlock certain rewards like stickers, this awesome cool collab t-shirt I have on right now, and our awesome sweater. All right, I love the new sweaters we got. All right, let us continue through our command journey here. How do you memorize all these commands? By flashcards or utilizing them. All right, that's what I recommend for learning these commands, flashcards, and just messing around with them. You can typically figure out or guess what each one of these commands do because they are somewhat understandable, all right? So I don't think it would be too difficult for a new individual to kind of guess these if they've never seen them before. But let us move forward. We talked about mkdir and rimdir. Let's talk about copy. So copy is going to be how you go about copying a file, all right? And there's this other thing called xcopy, which is going to copy, you can use that to copy a file or a directory and all of the contents inside of the directory. So X just stands for that it will recursively go and copy every single thing that's in that folder. So super awesome. If you run the help command on them, you can see the output. So you can use copy to copy one or more files to another location, and xcopy is going to be for copying a directory and all of the contents in it. So if I do help xcopy, you can see it's for copying files and directories and all of the contents in them. Repetition. Yep, exactly. Repetition makes it key. Let's go through an example here of copy. So in this directory we're currently in, we have no files. So I'm going to go ahead and do mkdir. So we're going to make a folder. If we're making a folder, we're going to need to use xcopy. So I'm going to call this copy me. If we do a dir, we can see now copy me is inside of here. Now we can do x copy and then space. We need to tell it what we need. All right, actually before, let's look at the help command so I can run you guys through the steps of how you would figure this stuff out. So if we do x copy, so help x copy, we're going to get lots of output. If we scroll up, we'll get the description, and then after that is going to be how you use the function. All right. So first it says x copy. We have to type in x copy there. Then we need to type in the source, aka what we want to copy. That is all that is required for you to do. I highly recommend you to also put a destination, so where you want it to copy. So if we run this with just mandatory items, let's see what happens. So again, if we do a dir, we'll see we just have a folder called copy me. So let's do x copy and then do copy me and press enter. It says that 0 files were copied. All right. So we do dir. It ran, but nothing really happened. Not too fun, not too interesting. So let's do it now with filling out that destination. So let's say copy me and let's copy it to ASDF. All right. ASDF currently does not exist. All right. This is using relative path right now, aka I want to copy this folder to this in the current directory we are in right now. It does not exist. So it says right here, does ASDF specify a file name or directory name on the target? We're going to say we want it to be a directory, but it doesn't work because this is not created right now. So we have to pre-make, I guess copy would have been better for the first one. Hold on. Let me go in here. Documents. 100 days of rootkit. Copy me. Let's make a blank text file called hello. All right. And now I don't think this would. There we go. Now when we rerun this, because this is going to copy everything that's inside of that directory over to our to this new potential folder. So if we do dir, you're going to see a new folder has been generated, and if we go into the ASDF folder and type in dir, you'll see that hello.txt got copied from the copy me folder, aka what we just did over here. All right. So it's how you can copy new things, but not only copy, it will also generate new folders for you. You can typically, for most commands, you can either enter a absolute or relative path. So we ran that command, let me pull it back up here, as a relative path, which was copy everything to ASDF. This can be done several different ways. For example, if we do /, this is basically the exact same thing, because this dot means where we currently are, and then / this folder, aka I want to put the things in this folder. If this folder does not exist, it will create it. If it does exist, then it's just going to put everything inside of it, which we just ran that again. It did the exact same thing. We already had hello text in there, so that's good. So remember that dot means where we currently are, and it's a relative thing we can do. And it works whether we just say it like this or with the /. Also, we could do the absolute path. So let's do this. Let's copy all of this right here, paste it right here. So I guess I should explain what I did there. And by default in command prompt, when you highlight things, it automatically puts into your clipboard. So it's already copied. To paste in command prompt, you're going to use not the right click, but the left click. So if I left click right now, it will paste it in there. I had to do it twice because your left click. So this is highlighted. So now it's copied. Once you highlight things, it's automatically copied in command prompt. One click will unhighlight it, so basically refocus everything, and the second click will paste it. All right, that's how you do copy and pasting, because your Control V, Control C, Control V does not work in command prompt. And if you ever right click in command prompt, you don't get any like paste little option stuff. Like if I right click here, I get all my options. You don't get that on here. It just pastes, right? That's what it does by default. So let's go back to our command here. Copy me. I want to copy this folder and its contents, and I want to copy it, and we're going to do with the absolute directory this time. So this is where we currently are. I'm going to do a slash and call this absolute folder. Right? Press enter. This is a directory. All right. Bam. Now if we do dir, you'll see a new folder got created called abs folder. And there is the, if we cd into the abs folder and do a dir, you'll see that that hello.txt got copied over. Sweet. All right. We talked a lot about copying. Let's go and move on. Now, what if you want to move things around? There's the move command for that. So in Windows, it's literally called move. So, whoops. It's literally called move. All right, so let's do a dir. Let's say we want to move this hello.txt up one folder. All right, we can do that by saying move. Well, let's go ahead and rerun through the help command here. So if we look at the help command, if you don't know, you can look at the top. It will tell you what it does, and then you can see what is required. All right, so we can use move to move one or more files. We can also use move to rename a directory. Interesting. All right. So move is going to be the file and where you want to move it to, the destination. All right. So let's go ahead and look through that. I see when I try to run a bat, it opens and closes fast. What does that mean? When you want to do a bat file, if you double click it, it will run it. It will bring up command prompt and then it will go away. That means that it ran successfully. There's nothing keeping it open. So it's recommended by default, if you want to run a bat file, to do it in an already opened command prompt, because this will stay and remain open. All right, let's move on here. So move. Dir. So we got hello.txt. Let's move it up one folder. How do we do that? We type in move, and then it's what we want to move. So we want to move hello.txt. Again, using tab to autocomplete. Space, we want to move it up one folder. This is where relative paths come really, really handy. Specifically that ... because ... means go up one. So if we do ... and press enter, we're able to move that file, and we're going to go ahead and say yes. And now we've what do you call it? Moved this file. And if we do dir, you'll see that file is no longer there. And if we go cd ... to go up one and do a dir, you'll see that hello.txt is there. And if we want to move it back into the abs folder, we can say move hello, and then abs folder. All right, now it's moved into that folder. So let's go and cd into abs folder and do a dir, and there it is. Any questions on that? Just how you can move things around. Let's go ahead and talk about ren. So let's go and do help on ren. Ren is for renaming your files, all right? So if you want to rename your folders in command prompt, you have to use move. And so we'll go through, we'll just show that real quick here. So if I do a dir, let me clear the screen. Dir, you'll see we got the abs folder. Let's say we're sick and tired of that name. We can do move abs folder, and we can now rename it to something else. Let's call it no abs folder. And now it has been renamed. So if we do a dir, you'll see now it's called this. But this does not work for files. So if we cd into our no abs folder, because we have that hello.txt in there, and if we try to use the move command to rename hello.txt to maybe goodbye.txt and do a dir, I guess move works for files also. There's also ren that you can use for renaming things also. So we want to rename goodbye.txt, and let's rename it back to hello.txt. And we just ran that, and if we do dir, you'll see that it's renamed. So the docs on move are incorrect, which is okay with me because it matches what other operating systems do, which we'll talk about when we get into Unix. All right. What if we want to, well, we got type next. So let's do help type. So type will display the contents of a text file or files. So if we type in type and we do, hold on, where's that file with the contents in it, because a blank file will not look too good. Let's go into 100 days rootkit. Whoops, started. All right, let me go and make a file here with some text, so we can run through this. Open this, put some text in there. All right, sweet. So that's going to be in the copy me. So if we do type and then copy me, type and then the hello.txt, because that's what it's called, you'll see, let me go and clear this and rerun. You can use type to print out the contents of a file. This will look pretty familiar to the command more, which we've already talked about. The big difference is type is going to just dump it all out on the screen, and that's it. More, on the other hand, is very nice. It will only dump up as much as your screen can handle and then pause and let you scroll through things. All right, that's the difference between the two. All right, they both let you print things out. That's the but one will pause, the other one doesn't. Those are the important things to remember. And we have find here. Let's go ahead and do help and then find. Find will search for text in a file or files. So it can be super handy. This works for any files that you want to run in here. So we got our find, and you can see here how you would use it. The find command, you have these options you can run, which we'll tell you about right here. What you want to look for, and then the file you're trying to search through. So we got, if we do type hello, this is a file that we have and there's some text in it. Oh gosh darn it. If we do find, and maybe we want to find AS or DSA, and we do space and what file, hello.txt, we can run that and it will find where that is in the file. Let's go ahead and make that file a little bit longer. Not this one. Where's the, oh, whoops. Let's make that file a little bit longer and a little more difficult. Let's down here, let's do a bunch of text, all right, on a bunch of lines. One of them we're gonna have hot dog. Why? Because I like hot dogs. All right, bunch more text. Let's go ahead and, why is this so wide? My God. Let's go ahead and rerun that again, except we want to look for where if hot dog is in here and where it is. So find hot dog and then hello txt. Why I have the quotes here? Because they had quotes here, right? So I'm going to copy the syntax they have there and press enter. And it found hot dog. All right. So you now know hot dog is in that file. Not very useful because we don't know what line it is, but if we look at our command here, we can figure out how to get information about lines. So display only the count of lines containing the strings. So if we rerun this with /C, we'll see there's one line in here that has hot dog, and this is the opposite. How many lines don't have hot dogs? Display line numbers with the with displayed. Okay, so we want n. So if we do n, that will tell us what line hot dog was found on. So it was found on line 20. So that's super useful for these extra options and, you know, getting that extra functionality out of it. Any questions so far? YouTube people are quiet today. Alrighty, find now del. Pretty sure you guys can assume what del is. Del is going to be for deleting. If we go to help and then del, you'll see it lets you delete one or more files, so you can list multiple files if you want. So let's do dir, and we got the hello.txt. Let's say we're sick of this file. I don't want to see it anymore ever again. We can do del and then hello.txt, press enter, and now it's completely deleted. This one, asterisk, very important. Be careful with it because you don't want to end up deleting something that was important. All right, so make sure you are using this one with caution. Let us see here. Let's move forward. I think that's the first command so far that you really want to be careful with. I guess also remove dir, so rimdir you want to also be careful with because you don't want to remove something that's important. DOS key. So we do, help. These typos that I'm doing, like ls, man, other stuff like that, they'll make more sense when we get to Unix. All right, I promise you. It's just a habit for me. We want help and DOS key. So if we run that, you'll see that this is used for editing command lines, recalling Windows commands, and creating macros. What are macros? Macros are scripts, aka they're files that have a bunch of DOS commands in them that will automatically execute and run. So you can have pre-built and pre-made macros installed or made on your computer and kind of like save them and then recall them at a later state if you want using DOS key. If we do this command right here, so slash macros, we can see if there are any made on my computer right now. So let's go ahead and do that and then macros. And I currently have none on my computer. So this is how you can basically, those .bat files that you were talking about earlier, you can install them onto your command line and then have them as useful features. So why is this useful? Let's say you repeatedly find yourself doing the same couple commands over and over again. You can automate that by making a macro and then installing it, and now you can run that macro at any time to immediately execute all those commands instead of you having to type them out all by hand. All right, ipconfig. We talked about ipconfig before. All right. And this one is going to be a /?mark, ipconfig /?. And you'll see there's lots of information here that you can utilize and do with ipconfig. This again is going to be printing out your configurations on your computer in regards to like the networks you're attached to. A common operation that non-programmer people will have to do and what they'll find online is if you're having issues with your internet, and let's say maybe your IP address is messed up or your DHCP server has messed up on your router, you can run certain commands on here like /renew to try to get a new IP address assigned to your computer. All right, these are how you can go about messing with your IP settings if you would like. All right. There's also release, and there's you can look up some of the utility that you can utilize these for. If we go and run this right now on mine, you'll see your IPv4 address, maybe an IP6 address, and various other useful information that you may want to get from your computer. All right. Next, we have the arrow and the arrow and the double arrow. So this is going to be using your shift key and then the period. That's how you can get these arrows. So what this does is kind of similar to the pipe, but different at the same time. It will take the output from a previous command and put it into a file. All right, because maybe you want to log what's going on, or you don't want to copy and paste what you're seeing on the screen. Maybe you want to save it off for later use. So for example, IP config. This is a lot of stuff. Maybe you want to use this and you want to put it in a file or save it off somewhere. So you can use the arrow sign. So if I do space arrow, and now you can create a new file and save this off in. Or you can put it in an existing file. The big key thing here is it will rewrite everything in that file, so it's only what the output is. All right, it is a complete delete all the information in there and just put this new information in there operation. It does not append the information, which we'll talk about here in a second. So if I want to make a new file here and save the information off, I can do saved IP, press enter, bam. I guess I should have named that .txt. So if I do a dir, you'll see it's in here and there's lots of data in it right now because we have the byte count up there. So if I do a ren and we say the saved IP, I want to actually name it saved IP.txt. We can now open that file up, but now that we're entering into the terminal realm, we don't have to. We could just use something like type or more and print out the contents here on the terminal. So if I do that, you'll see that the contents of the file are from that IP config. And if we go ahead and pull up that file and open it up, you'll see, can I please shrink this? It's so large, that all that information got put inside of the file here. So super cool. If I rerun that operation, you'll see that, whoops, I forgot it's not called txt in it. But if I rerun that, oh no, not Internet Explorer. Oh no, what have I done? Get out of here. No, I don't want Chrome. Okay, if I open this file up, you'll see even though I ran it twice, it's still one singular output because the arrow will overwrite anything in an already existing file or create a new file and then dump the information. If you want the info to append at the end of the file, you can use the double arrow instead. So if we do double arrows and then press enter and then we print out this file, you'll see that it's here now twice. And to see it more clearly, we can go ahead and open it up in Notepad and you'll see now it's in here twice. So important thing to know, one arrow is wipe and paste or create and paste. Double arrow is going to be append to the end of the file. Any questions on any of that? I think we'll probably get into PowerShell tomorrow because it is running kind of late. So we're gonna go and power through these last couple of commands here. So let's talk about tree. Help tree. So this will graphically display the folder structure of a driver path. Graphically is in quotes, all right? It's not as graphically cool as you think it is. It's graphically as much as graphically can get in a command prompt. All right, so let's go ahead and cd up a couple directories, and let's run this command on this 100 days of rootkit folder, because we made a bunch of folders inside of it. We made some files. So let's run this on here. So if we do tree, and then we say the folder 100 days of rootkit and press enter, you'll get this graphically pleasant look at what's inside of that folder. So in that folder, we have 3 other folders. All right, and if we do some of these tag options like F here, we'll also see the files. So let's go ahead and do tag F and rerun this. And now you'll nicely see the folders that are inside of this folder laid out and all of the files inside of them. So it can be really nicely displayed like this. This is as graphically pleasant as it gets, all right? When things say graphically, it won't actually typically be like what you're used to in a normal GUI. All right, this is graphically in the CLI. Use ASCII instead of the extended characters. So you can specify here to use just the base ASCII instead of the extra characters. And I wonder if this is just extended ASCII then. Let's go and run this and see if it affects the output at all. Yes, it does. So again, we talked about ASCII and Unicode in prior episodes or days. Base ASCII was 100 up to 128 characters, all right? Then it was pretty much just English characters and a bunch of other special stuff. Then they released extended ASCII, which went up to 256 different characters, which included Spanish, some other language characters, and there were some special ones, in particularly these pipes and other weird stuff. And this is why they were included. If you look at extended ASCII, an extended ASCII graph, when you Google it, it may look a little weird. Like some of the characters that it included, you might be like, what are these? I've never seen them before. Like, what is going on? It's because they're used in this output. They use those special characters to display these nice looking pipes. If you didn't have those, it would look like this. This is their workaround, right? Using pluses and slashes and dashes and pipes. Alrighty. So we have iCackles next. So we talked about attribs, which is for attributes of a file, and it also allowed you to set some of the permissions on the files. iCackles is a little bit more in depth in what you're able to do. It's basically attribs 2.0. All right, holy crap, there's a lot. We're scrolling up pretty far here. So there's lots of descriptions and things you can do, and this is going to be directly interfacing with the discretionary access control list capabilities of Windows. All right, so lots of options in here you can do to manipulate the settings of a file. Let us go ahead and move on here to net accounts. So if we do help and type in net, because net accounts is a command plus an option. So let's go ahead and look at the base command here. And this is going to be for provides help information for the Windows command. What is going on here? Well, this is not very useful. So we give you 3 commands here that you can utilize: accounts, users, and local group. So if we do net accounts and press enter, you'll go ahead and see some basic information here. This is going to be information in regards to your account. In particularly, this will be compatible with your local account and the Active Directory accounts. So you'll be able to see policies that are set if you are on an Active Directory or on a domain controller. So this will tell you cool things like, currently, does this account force the user log off? No. So my computer will never automatically log me out. You can set this in your settings, and if you do, you'll see them reflected here. And then also you can require minimum password in days, maximum password, age in days. So the minimum, I'm forgetting exactly what it's used for, but maximum is how long I've had a password for. So I just recently reset my, no, that doesn't seem right. Oh no, I'm blinking. This is where Taylor would be more useful than me. Password, I believe this is how long you can have a password before you have to reset it. But this is pulling from my, I'm just trying to figure out the 42 because my account is hooked up to my Microsoft account. So I wonder if this is 42 days since I've last changed my password on my Microsoft account, or what exactly the 42 is for, because I haven't set a lockout or a required password reset on my computer. So kind of confused there, but you'll see various other information here in regards to like your lockout. So if you've tried too many attempts, how long things will be locked out, and you'll see the role, which is workstation for our computer. So various information here, and then I think when you do net counts, this is where you can do the /? And get the various different options you can potentially run in regards to the net accounts command. All right, these three commands are most typically used when you're in an active directory or you have like a domain controller. They're not too useful when you're not a part of a bigger organization. So we do net user, and usually when we give this whole rundown in this section, at least what we've taught it in the past, we have an entire simulation organization that has an active directory and stuff going on, so you're able to play with it more. So net user will show you other accounts that are on your computer. So we have the administrator account, the guest account, default account, Susan, my account, and this WAG utility account. All right. And we can also run net local group, which will show you more additional information about groups that are made on your computer. So groups are going to be like organizations or like groups of people. For example, if you're with the example of like there's an HR department or an engineering department or etc., you can put those people into groups, and this is where the groups will show up. There are a lot of pre-built groups on your computer already, so a lot of these are pre-made groups. Some of them are groups that I got because I made Docker or installed Docker and a couple other applications. So this is where you can see groups. So when you are assigning things like permissions, maybe you want to assign permissions to something to a group of people instead of just one individual. All right, this is where you can find more of that information out. Run as is just like what it seems like. You can run a command as someone else. So if I do help run as, of course it's with the question mark, run as /?. You'll see a bunch of information in here and how to execute it, but basically you say run as, then you'll list a profile of someone else's account, and then you go about typing out the command exactly how you would normally run it. All right. So we know that if we do net user, we can see other accounts that we have. I don't know if this will work, but we'll go and try it. We can try to run a command as administrator, so we'll do run as, and I think from this, if we look, we need to do /profile, all right? Specify that a user's profile should be loaded. This is the default. Okay, so we don't need to actually add it, or is it /user right here? Yeah, this is the required thing, /user : and then the username. So let's go ahead and do /user and then the username, and let's say mcdir hello admin. So we're gonna do run as. So we want to become the administrator just for a second and then make a directory called hello admin. All right, this is what I mean by afterwards. After you do the setup, you just put in the command as if you were to normally run it. If we do enter here, we'll see that it did not work, and when it did not work or does not work, it brings up what do you call it? The help menu again. So we can see here at the bottom that it has some information here, some examples of how you would go about running this command. We're going to go ahead and call that good for now and move on. But I believe I have to put my machine name and then say administrator, which we're not going to get into right now because it's going to take too much time. We're almost at 9 o'clock. So let's talk about the last two functions, call it a day, and then tomorrow we'll start off with PowerShells and then get into Unix. All right, so let me check and make sure there are no questions. All right, so we got task list that's next. So if you go to the bottom of your computer here onto your bottom bar, your taskbar here, you can right click and you'll get an option here called Task Manager. If you pull this up, you're going to see all of the processes that are currently running on your computer. All right, yours might be by default. It may look like this. If you click on more details down here, it will become enlarged and you'll be able to see lots more things in here. If you scroll through, you'll see all these items listed, all these tasks, etc., etc. You can do this exact same thing in command prompt using task list. So if we type in task list and press enter, it's going to print a lot of stuff here. This is where pipe and other commands will come in handy, because maybe we only wanted to see something at the very beginning. If we do pipe and more here, you'll see that we are piping the output to the more command. So now we have this more, we're starting at the very top here, and now we can press enter and nicely and slowly scroll through. So I knew we would get to a good example of where pipe would be useful, and here you go. This is one where it's useful, and you'll see all types of services that are running on your operating system, and it's the exact same information you can get by looking here. There are a bunch of task commands, so if you do help task list, you'll see a bunch of different commands that you can utilize in order to get more information, because again, you can get pretty much all the information that you see here in Task Manager and potentially more information than you can even see in there, because this is the command prompt, so usually there's extra tooling in here. And then the last one for us is going to be task kill. It's exactly what you would think it would do. You can forcefully quit a task with it. So if we do help task kill, you can see how you can go about utilizing it. So by default, you need to specify either the process ID, or you can utilize the is it FI for IM for trying to use the name. So computers don't like names. They don't usually use names by default. All right, computers like numbers. So if you do task lists, you're going to see lots of numbers right beside your output. Actually, let's do the more one. Looking at the top here, there's a little menu that will tell you what's going on. So we have these image names, which are going to be your process names. These PIDs, which are the ID of the process that's running. Every single application that you open, every single command that you run, every single thing that you do will be opened as its own process and get its own ID associated to it. So if anything ever hangs or is causing issues, you can try to look up that ID and forcefully close it. IDs are better than names. All right. Why? How? Well, for example, you can see right here, there's a bunch of different names of the CSV host. All right. This stands for service host. If I'm remembering correctly, it's something that your operating system is running. All right. But there's a bunch of different versions of it running for different types of applications that it's running. All right. Also, like Chrome, you may have multiple versions of Chrome open. If you just say close chrome.exe, you're going to close all of the Chrome applications that you're running. You may not want that. You may want to just close the one that is failing. So using the PID instead can be extremely useful. So if we go ahead and cancel this, let's see if we can run through an example. We got Notepad open right now. So let's go ahead and do task list, and we did talk about finding. Yep, perfect. So we can do task list, pipe, find, and then we want to find Notepad. And does this work? Yep, it does. So again, another useful of the pipe, because we're taking all of the data from task list, piping it to the find command, and then just telling it what we want to find. And now instead of going through that big list, we can just look here. And the thing is, I didn't know exactly for DOS whether this would work or not, but that's the thing I need you guys to do. Try things. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. It's fine. Just try it. See if it will. You will know after the fact. Your question will be answered on whether you were right or not. So just do it. It's not going to break anything. It doesn't cause any harm. Maybe to just yourself, your own mental stability. But guess what? This isn't probably the job for you if you can't handle disappointing yourself every once in a while. All right. You need to try, and experiment. All right, that's the best way to learn in this field. So if we look right here, we had a number 23220. That is the PID for Notepad exe. So I'm going to keep this guy open right here on the side. I'm gonna move this. Whoops. I'm gonna move this right here so we can see this in action. So utilizing task kill. So if we do help and task kill, we can see in here that if we do the /PID, that's how we can specify the PID of something. So let's go ahead and do task kill. Actually, before that, let's go ahead and rerun our find so we get that number there. Task kill /PID. And then we can do 23. Where'd it go? 23220. All right, that's the ID of Notepad. If we press enter, you'll see that Notepad has closed, right? Pretty neat, pretty cool. That's how you can kill things. And there's some extra options here because by default, your computer will want to be, there is different ways to close things. There are graceful ways where you're kind of nicely telling the application like, hey buddy, it's time to shut down. And there's more forceful ways, all right? And we'll get into exactly what's going on behind the scenes with the more forceful ways. But if something is not closing right away and it's being very stubborn, you can forcefully close it if you want, and that will be using the /F. As you can see here, it will specify forceful termination of the process. So you can be a little bit more aggressive if you want. I think that will be just about it of what we go over today. Are there any questions before we end the stream for today? We covered a lot of stuff, a lot of different commands. Hopefully, after going through this, a lot of them are pretty self-explanatory for you. And there's only hopefully there's only a handful you'll actually have to brute force memorize. Because I mean, I think things like copy and time and date, should be kind of self-explanatory. Or easy, like you shouldn't have to spend too much time memorizing those, right? Dir, we've hit on dir a lot, so hopefully that's in your guys' head. Any questions? The good news is a lot of this stuff across operating systems is more of a learn once, works everywhere situation. So you won't have to really relearn a lot of things from scratch all over again. A lot of things are, you can find them either exactly the same in a different operating system, or they might be called slightly differently, but they do the exact same operation. So there's not too much relearning moving forward. It's more so just the subtle differences between operating systems. I see there are no other questions right now, so I think we're going to call that good for today's stream. Tomorrow we'll be getting into PowerShell and then starting to talk about Unix. All right, and we're going to go over Unix commands. Before we go into Unix commands, we most likely will jump down here and talk about the layout of the Unix operating system before getting into commands. But that is all that I got for you guys. So I will see you guys on the next one.